Hello.
Welcome to Church at Home, everyone.
We are so glad that you're here on this planet in this moment with us.
Very true.
I'm energetic this morning.
Yeah, you are. I like it. Hey,
So-
and a special welcome if it's your first time tuning in.
Yes.
We love new friends here at Gateway.
Look, so much so that we're creating space for connection and community everywhere.
I love it.
It's kind of our thing.
It is our thing.
There's always lots going on, but beyond the services, it's a bit something to be a part of. There's play groups for young families, there's life groups, small groups of people meeting each other's home, just doing life together through the week. There's an active ministry that you can get moving with us. There's youth, there's young adults ministry. There is so much. Check out the app and we'd love to have you involved.
I'm like exhausted just from hearing
I
all
know.
of the things that you can do.
And that's only a little bit of it.
I know, it's a snippet. It's so good though, I love it. Hey, and today we have the family room happening as well. So if you call this place home and you're in the vicinity, make sure that you make it to this. It's gonna be 1:30 p.m. today after church. So go grab some lunch, maybe a coffee.
Couple of coffees.
Yeah, maybe 3 coffees, and then rock up for some acoustic worship, an update from Rick, and just the chance to gather together as a church fam.
Oh, so
Love
good.
it.
And we want as many Gatorites to be able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
So we are holding a second session on Wednesday night at 7:30. So you can have some dinner and head out for some fam hangs if you can't make
I'm
the
sensing
Sunday.
a theme here, is that like, eat some food,
Yeah.
then come hang with the fam.
We don't want hangry people to hang out with family.
No.
I don't eat, I get
Feed
hangry.
Ricky first, then all the things will be
Yes.
better. Anyway, look, it's going to be so fun. We cannot wait.
Great.
And also, church, we'd just love to know how we can support you in prayer this week. You know, whatever you're walking through, whether it's big or small, we would love to support you and just cover you with prayer. Don't ever do life alone, especially because we believe in a God who hears our prayers and is more than able to lean into our need.
Yeah.
You know, he's the God of the impossible. So let us know. We are absolutely here for you.
Yeah, that's great, true. And a massive thank you to everyone who gives to this church week in and week out. It's the faithfulness of this generosity consistently that has enabled this church to be a blessing for close to 4 decades now. Ooh,
That's a lot of
it's
decades.
old.
Yeah.
We appreciate you and we love you and we love doing life and ministry with you guys.
Yeah. And speaking of love, today we have Pastor Singe sharing, and I
Oh.
could not be more pumped for this, partly because I love Singe,
Yeah.
but also because he's,
Drum roll.
oh, you can wrong, yep. He's bringing us a message on something very close to our hearts. Camp No Fear.
Yes.
We probably went a bit early with the drum roll, actually.
I know.
Now we're supposed to woo.
I'm not a drummer.
Hang on. Let's try that
Doesn't
again.
show.
Bringing us a message close to our hearts on Camp No Fear!
Camp
Woo!
No Fear,
And then you
yeah.
have to woo, Ricky. Woo! Woo! Where there's a thing, if you are not aware of what Camp No Fear is, that anytime the words Camp No Fear,
Woo!
thank you, is mentioned in our church or youth, or really anywhere, you have to woo, because camp is the best thing ever. So you'll hear more on that later. I didn't say Camp No Fear. Woo!
Ooh.
Anyway, before we get too wooed out, let's worship.
There's a lot of noise going round in the world. There's a lot of people trying to be heard. But you gave us the truth right here in your word. You're everything we need. When you speak, we're listening.
rather forget. I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. You never let go. Thought I was alone, now I know you were close. I can see it now, you're bringing me home. I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. Oh, every day gets better when I'm walking with you. Whoa, you're my home forever, what a beautiful view. I will give you praise for the things you've done, and every single way that you've shown your love. God, you have only just begun. So come on, there's so much better to come. So much better to come. So much better to come. When I look back, I can see your hand all over my past. Even in the times I'd rather forget. I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. You never let go. Thought I was alone, now I know you were close. I can see it now, you're bringing me home. I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that, yeah. Oh, every day gets better when I'm walking with you. Oh, you're my home forever, what a beautiful view. I will give you praise for the things you've done, and every single way that you've shown your love. God, you have only just begun. So come on, there's so much better to come. So much better to come. So much better to come. You never left me. Whoa. You always helped me. Whoa. Got through the fire. Whoa. I find my strength when I'm walking beside you. You never left me. Whoa. You always helped me. Whoa. Got through the fire, through the fire, through the fire. I find my strength when I'm walking beside you. I will give you praise for the things you've done, in every single way that you show love. God, you have only just begun. So come on, there's so much better to come. So much better to come. So much better to come.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining us online. This morning I'm talking about our youth camp, which is called Camp No Fear. But really, I'm talking about a bit of a broader concept. So before we jump into the message, I want to make sure, just in case you've joined us more recently, that we know exactly what Camp No Fear is.
We're dreaming on and on, we're dreaming on and on. I'm chasing all the colors in my head. I wanna be alive. I'm living high. I'm living high.
Well, that looks like fun. I'm glad that I get to go, and I hope that you wish you get to go as well. Camp has been running for 25 camps now. Until a few years ago, camps and years were interchangeable, but now we have to say 25 camps. We've had over 3,000 seats have been sold, so to speak, 1,400 unique attenders, and over 400 decisions for Jesus, which is the main point after all, and is
kind of linked in to what I'm talking about this morning. So let's zoom out. What does me talking about camp and being excited about camp have to do with us as a broader church? If you've been around church for any period of time, hopefully you've heard of and know what the Great Commission is. Put simply, Jesus told us to go and make disciples. And that makes us God's plan A for the world to know Him. But do we act like it? Do you act like we are God's plan A for the world to know Him? Because here's the thing, I think sometimes we can get a little bit lost. But I want to tell you this morning, this is not just the job of key leaders in a church. Don't get me wrong, key leaders, volunteers and staff make sacrifices to take up a calling from God to serve, steward and lead a local church. And we have an incredible team here who work so hard to support and enable this church practically. But when I say that we are God's plan A, that we is all of us, every single one, in the way that God calls us. Whether you're a bolted on, I came from a Christian home kind of person, like me, or just checking out faith, you get to play a part in that Great Commission. More than that, you're called to play a part in the Great Commission. Let's look into this a little bit more. Paul, the OG church planter, wrote a bunch of letters to churches that he had planted to help keep them on track when they needed a little bit of a realignment. And he reminded the church in Corinth of this. There are different kinds of service, but we serve the same Lord. God works in different ways, but it's the same God who does the work in all of us. So we're called to serve how God calls us to serve. Whether the work we do looks exactly the same or not, it's the same work because it's the same God. But here's the upshot of that, and let me be blunt. You can't delegate what God is calling you to do to somebody else. So naturally the following question is this: what is God calling you to? You are called to love and disciple your workplace. You're called to love and disciple your family. You're called to love and disciple your neighbors. You're called to love and disciple your school. You're called to love and disciple your uni. You're called to love and play your part in the body of Christ, the church. You know, you can't delegate the conversations that God has called you to have with your neighbors, with your kids, with the mums at school pickup, with your friends at the footy club. You can't delegate those conversations because you have been placed there and called to have those conversations. So let's ask the hard question. Do you really, personally, take up the responsibility of being a part of this church? Or does your comfortable life dull the call? Does the busyness of life dull the call? Do your fears dull that call? Do your vices dull that call? Do your doubts dull that call? Don't delegate what God is calling you to do. Around this place, when we talk about the real life that comes from knowing Jesus, we're talking about taking up the challenge of doing what God is calling us to, no matter how we feel. We're talking about prioritizing faith over feelings. Let me elaborate on that a little bit. From my personal journey with Jesus, I've found the meaning of faith has gotten richer over time. When I was a baby Jesus follower, for me, I found that faith and feelings were really close together. Those sort of emotional high worship moments at conferences or even camps, that was when I felt like faith was strong. That's when I felt built in my faith. That's when I felt close to Jesus. And that's not wrong. Those experiences are valid and true no matter how long you've been a Christian. But for me, I've added to this over time. I've discovered that faith is also found in logic, in study, in decisions, in obedience, and in making faith a priority outside of the emotional high aspect of faith. I've found the riches of a deep faith in my Monday to Friday, in the choices I make during financial stress, on bad mental health days, when holding a screaming baby, probably last night, when feeling grief, when feeling joy, and even on the most average of Thursdays, which is the most average day of the week. My faith is not diminished by the ups and downs of life. It's strengthened in their midst. That's the richer side of faith that I've discovered. Hope and purpose that's with me all the time. We're all called to play a part in keeping this church healthy and calling people back to Jesus. But I think sometimes we lose sight of that. We turn our faith, our Christianity, into an inward focused kind of thing. I think the church in Corinth must have lost sight of that because Paul had to write to Corinth a second time. Get it together, Corinth. He said this: God has given us this task of reconciling people to him. For God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself, no longer counting people's sins against them. And he gave us, we're the us, he gave us this wonderful message of reconciliation. So now we're Christ's ambassadors. God is making his appeal through us. We speak for Christ when we plead, come back to God. For God made Christ, who never sinned, to be the offering for our sin, so that we all could be made right with God through Christ. I hope you feel excited and challenged about the part that you're played to be in the church. We are called to be ambassadors. Each and every one of us is called to be part of reaching outside of these four walls, digitally, I suppose, outside of these four walls and calling people back to Jesus. And of course, I started today talking about one of my great passions in this church, Camp No Fear. So let's zoom back in on that with what we've explored today. Camp No Fear is not Gateway Youth's project. It's not Gateway Youth's annual camp. Camp No Fear is Gateway Church's annual youth outreach. Camp is amazing for our youth. We love our youth. But camp has a history of impacting a much wider pool than just our youth. Camp No Fear has impacted schools, families that weren't connected to Jesus, other youth groups, people's neighbours, people's mates from ballet, people's mates from swimming, and many more. But it only has that impact when we all play our part in the Great Commission, meeting every need for camp to run and making sure that everyone who needs to be there makes it there. So let's put a pointy end on today's message that's camp themed. Can I ask you to prayerfully make this church project a priority in your life? Maybe you'd be willing to lock in volunteering at camp, get that rego in that you've been putting off. Who can you invite from school, from after school activities, from your street if you're a young person? Youth, who are you bringing? Personal invites are so important. Most of the people who come to camp who aren't connected with Gateway for some reason come because of a personal invite, not because of an ad on Facebook or a flyer drop at school. Adults, whose parents do you need to speak to at all those same places? You can get a fellow parent on board way easier than their kids can. Just think about it in reverse. If a fellow parent said to you, you have to get your kids here, it is going to be incredible for them. They're going to be so encouraged and come home ready for the new year. How excited would you be to get your kids there? Be that person for another parent. And finally, parents, can you make Camp No Fear a priority for your kids? Don't let it fall to if it fits in with the family holidays this January, because your kids will come encouraged. They will be prepared for the new school year and they will be lifted in their faiths. You know, I can't have these conversations for you. You can't delegate them to me. The team and I can help by having a website, socials, videos, running a great camp, answering questions, allocating financial support where needed. But we cannot have the conversations that lead to this.
In 2020, I went to my first Camp No Fear. I heard a lot of things about God, but before Camp No Fear, I had been wanting to know more about Him. Fast forwarding to camp, the third night, Cry Night.
Night 3 of camp.
The Cry Night.
And of course came Cry Night. Night 3. And man, I was not expecting my life to completely change.
A youth leader came up to me and said that she had a vision of a broken vase that was slowly being repaired with gold.
On the third night of camp, a leader prayed for a big group of Year 9s I was a part of, and they referred to us as a waterhole.
Camp No Fear week was probably the best week of my life.
On the third night, in the night rally, while the band were playing worship, a circle of people formed, our arms around each other.
There's praying and the whole atmosphere was wanting to connect with God.
It wasn't until Camp No Fear 2023 where I really felt God take this crushing weight away and replace it with an overwhelming sense of peace.
2 years later, Camp No Fear came around, and on the second night, I felt like God was speaking to me.
But it wasn't until Camp No Fear that I felt His presence for the first time.
Speaker there said you don't have to have this big or elaborate story till you get baptized.
On night 2, during the worship, I opened myself fully to God.
At camp, the band played the song Reckless Love. The night I heard that song, I decided to give my life to God.
On camp, I gained the confidence to tell the world about my faith and what I believed.
The turning point for me was Camp No Fear 2023.
But it wasn't until Camp No Fear in Year 8 that I began to build my faith in God.
Especially during youth worship and Camp Cry Nights.
My new relationship with God started at Camp No Fear 2018.
We had the opportunity to step forward if we wanted to be a follower of Christ, and without hesitating, I put my hand up.
I was in a group with my friends and we were praying with each other, and I felt His presence so strongly.
At Camp No Fear, I truly learned and understood what having a relationship with Jesus means.
I went back to Camp No Fear this year, and I have since met so many people and learnt so much about who God is.
But on the third night of Camp No Fear earlier this year, I told myself the next opportunity I get, I am getting baptized.
That tonight I raised my hand and accepted God into my life.
Now I understand why it's called Cry Night.
Since the last night of camp, I have become closer to God, and I am ready to spend the rest of my life with Him by my side.
Camp helped me to see other people of the same age engaging with the same faith. It showed me how God can bring people together, and afterwards I found myself getting back in touch with my faith.
Then in 2016, I went to Camp No Fear for the first time and made my true commitment to God there.
I felt a voice in my head at Camp No Fear telling me to youth lead, and for once I listened.
This year I had the privilege to be on the camp band, which was something I have dreamt of since I was a little Year 7.
On the final night of camp was when God worked through me.
I slowly learnt more about the church service after camp in 2020 pushed me to make the decision to get baptized.
This was one of the best weeks of my life, and I believe that God saw and recognised that I'd been patient for all those years, and since then has really been leading me to this point.
That night He opened my eyes to who He really was, and even till now, that was the best day I've ever had.
The whole camp, and specifically that night, was so refreshing for my faith.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Emma.
I'm Joseph.
I'm Monica.
I'm Luke Georgia.
I'm Abigail.
I'm Hannah Walton.
I'm Tara.
I am Emma.
I'm Connor.
I am Elshin.
I am Bethany.
I am Brett.
I am Hannah.
I'm Corey.
I'm Alex.
I am Tim Hughes.
I'm Harry.
I'm Zach.
I am Bree.
I'm Michaela.
I'm Oliver.
I'm David Gordon.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Jasmine.
I am Caitlin.
I am Rachel.
I am Eleanor, and I have been made new.
There's no greater love I could ever know. There is nothing else that my heart adores. Jesus, I believe you're the only way. Life belongs to you, I'm completely yours. I'm following you, nothing else we'll ever do. I'm following you, I'm laying it all down. I fall on my knees and I surrender. Make me a new thing. Wash away the old just like a river. Take my faults, take my tears, take my doubts and my fears. I give them all to you. I'm doing every sin. Brought me out of darkness and into light. Jesus, you're my Savior, you're my King. I'm following you, I'm following you. Nothing else we'll ever do, ever do. I'm following you, I'm following you. I'm laying it all down. I fall on my knees and I surrender. Make me a new thing. Wash away the old just like a river. Take my faults, take my tears and my doubts and my fears. I give them all to you. I'm doing it your way. I'm lifting my hands and I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. All my life I will worship you. All my life I will worship you. All my life I will worship you. You alone are good. All my life I will worship you. All my life I will worship you. All my life I will worship you. You alone are good. You are good. All down on my knees and I surrender. Make me a new thing. Wash away the old just like a river. Take my faults, take my tears, take my doubts and my fears. I give them all to you. I'm doing it your way. I'm lifting my hands and I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. You alone are good.
Yes, Singe, so good. Camp is just one of those life-changing, world-defining rites of passage for our young people. It really does set them up for an intimate and real walk with Jesus.
Yeah.
And just making them great at life as well. I just absolutely love it. So if you are a young person or you know a young person in grades 6 to 12 this year, make sure that you sign them up and get them there. God will do the rest, I promise.
True. It's truth.
It's
Look, I know for me, like I came I was a bit older, so I came as I was on the team. I think I actually led with Josh.
Yes!
In the cabin. It's very good. But like for me, it just really got me involved with church even more, deepened my faith walk with Jesus, and really pulled me into the community in this church. It is so much fun. Like I had so much fun over the years, being a part of the team. Like I would encourage you, if you feel like, hey, I could be a leader on camp, be part of the team, let us know, and we'll get you signed up. It's going to be a party. It's going to be the best.
It is the best. You come away with like a lifelong bond, don't you?
Yeah.
After you've done camp together, whether it's as a camper or as a leader.
Yeah.
There's something about it that just, you walk out.
It's pretty powerful.
Best friends for life.
Yeah.
It's so good. So do it. If you're even like thinking, maybe I do want to do this, do it.
Just do it.
I just never stopped. I started going as a camper and have not stopped going. I love it. So you should do that, and we will see you all next week, 10 a.m. for Church at Home.
See you then.
When I look back, I can see your hand all over my past. Even in the times I'd rather forget, I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. You never let go. Thought I was alone, now I know you were close. I can see it now, you were bringing me home. I just can't believe you'd love me like that, love me like that. Whoa. always helped me.